Good morning. It is Hip Homeschool Moms. It's Mentoring Mom Show, and you've got Lisa Pennington here from the Pennington Point, and
Hi.
Trish. There she is, and Trish from Live and Learn and Hip Homeschool Moms. And I'm tired, and so is Lisa. So
You're
if we're
tired.
not if we're not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, y'all cut us a little bit of slack today, okay? So, anyway, so what are you tired from? What'd you do? I know you were up probably running and everything else this morning.
I did run this morning, but I was in San Francisco yesterday and I was in Seattle on Saturday, so I have been just running all over the country.
I thought I saw a picture of you with the Golden Gate Bridge saying,
Yeah,
"Guess where I am for my morning run."
that was yesterday. It was awesome.
Wow. How
Yeah,
fun is that? Yeah, you're on a mad tour then of the United States. Was that
I am.
for
That
what
was
was
for
that
a blog.
for?
It was for a blog sponsor.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's
How
great.
fun.
Yeah,
Oh, I want her blog sponsors. I want to go
I
out there.
know.
So, well, good. That sounds like fun. So, I worked on our curriculum, as y'all know, and I think it just wore me out, so my brain hurts. So that's the only reason why I'm tired. Really don't have a great excuse. So at least you have good excuse. You can have jet lag and everything else going on.
That's what I got. I got some jet lag going on, but I'm good.
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, well, we have got a gazillion questions. We're so excited to have so many folks excited about the show and wanting to get some feedback. So
Great.
I think we need to start with Lisa and I, neither one think we're the end all be all of homeschooling. Um, but
Yes.
we but we have talked to a lot of people, and we can bring a lot of varied perspectives and things that we've seen and heard, and friends that we know that have been successful. So don't think that by us answering these questions that we think we have it all right, because we don't. And we're different. Even if we did have it all right, it's not possible because she does it differently than I do. So there, see, it's
Right.
not possible.
That's
So
right.
okay, so we're going to jump on in. The first question, I'm going to select it. It says, Emily asked, how do you deal with a child who is having a difficult time staying focused and being diligent about her work? She is intelligent,
Uh,
so I know the problem isn't with the difficulty of the work. And if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken, Emily posted this in our group, and I think Emily said that her daughter is in the fifth grade, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Okay.
yeah, so she's
Yeah.
at that, I guess, 11, 12
Yeah.
age. What do you think?
Well, I think that is the quintessential homeschool mom problem, truthfully. I mean, we all have it, some more than others, but like, how do you um, get them to not just, you see these school buildings and you're like, why do they not have, uh, windows? And then I see my son just like staring out the window instead of doing his math every day. So I would say you have to like really work to just keep. I work really hard to keep motivation. Like you have 15 minutes to finish this, and try to keep it in shorter spurts and kind of give them reasons. Like make the more fun lessons at the end of the day of the school day. And anyway, I don't know. It is hard. I mean, for me, it's like they're not going to get a grade. They're not going to get anything. What's their motivation to get their schoolwork done? But you have to kind of come up with motivation, creative motivation. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. I actually, your daughter may be starting to go into that stage too. There's a stage there around puberty where their hormones take over, and I mean, you're not only fighting if there is any inclination to laziness or just I have one of those or being distracted, if there's any inclination towards that, then you have the hormones, and so it's really really challenging. um,
You're talking
Lisa,
about my hormones, right?
yeah.
Those are another problem.
Yeah, because mom's going through it too.
Exactly.
So, Lee, you made a comment one week at one of our shows where you mentioned going outside, sort of just changing it up a little bit.
Yes.
I think that's a good suggestion. Change it up just a little bit. See if you can't break the monotony, because it just may be, it may not have anything to do with you, the curriculum, or anything else. It just may be that they need some varying, things to look at and be around, or like Lisa said, try to focus on some of the more fun aspects. I don't know. I haven't figured it out either. We have one that does the
Well,
same thing.
totally true. Like those little, we have one, we have some Apologia science stuff that we always take outside to do, and I save that for the end. So they know that at 10 o'clock we're going to go outside and do the Apologia science, and they need to have their whatever done before that. So that's what I meant about
Yeah.
kind of making some motivation to get it
Yeah.
finished. If it has to be anything, like let her make cookies. Okay, you can make cookies. You have to start by 11, so get your math done. Put a timer there, so they can see how fast they're going. Break their math up into intervals, like do this thing in 10 minutes and then the next part in 10 minutes, so that it's not like here's a 45-minute lesson and now you need to go finish it. So, things like that kind of help them keep the pace.
Something I just recently did, and actually it's because of Lisa. We went to a conference I guess it's a couple of months ago now.
Yay!
But Lisa made a suggestion at the conference, or she wasn't really even making a suggestion. She was talking about how she does it. And one of the things she does is she really, really sticks to a shorter time frame and gives them lots of opportunity to do more creative things. Like they have businesses and things like that they help in. And so I actually, my homeschool day was all day, and I shortened my day dramatically to half a day, and told the boys that, because Tennessee requires 4 hours a day, so we have to keep that 4 hours a day in. But I told the boys that I wanted everything done by lunch so we could go do other things in the afternoon, and that might help shortening the day. I don't know. But yeah, we know, we get it, Emily. We're all dealing with that constantly ourselves, and so and unfortunately or fortunately, she's homeschooled, and every single child is different. I mean, that's
Yeah.
always the bottom line. Every child's different. So what might work for mine and Lisa's might not work for yours. So it's a trial and error. Keep trying. If it's just try different things. I mean, we've come up with a
Try
couple.
try not to get frustrated about it,
Yeah.
and just see each time, okay, this thing we did this today, didn't work, and pray and ask God to give you some fresh ideas for the next time. Or, ask her, what do you think we could do to help you? I mean, she's 11 years old. She can contribute to that
Mhm.
discussion and problem solving. So keep your chin up about it and try to just, if something doesn't work, then try something else, but try not to, don't let your frustration be the thing that motivates your
Yeah.
child to get things done.
Yeah, and there was a great quote, and I think it's Edison. Maybe it was Edison. I can't remember who exactly said this quote. At least I probably remember. But he was talking about all these different times that his scientific experiments didn't work, and somebody asked him about that, and they said, we've had X amount of failures, and he goes, oh, no, 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 those aren't failures. Those were experiments that I figured
Oh,
out
that's
what
good.
didn't work. And so I love that, because that he was gaining knowledge the whole time. So you have to sort of look at it like a science experiment and say, okay, that didn't work. What's my next option? And just keep moving and try to take the emotion out of it, like Lisa was saying. So anyway, okay, hopefully we answered it, Emily. We can go on, but it won't help. We'll just be repeating what we said. So we're going to move on to the next one. Um, Sherry asked, let me select this. Okay, Sherry asked, I'm thinking of homeschooling next year. I have 7-year-old twins. I was wondering if anyone has done the online school such as K-12 or any of the others, and would they recommend them? Hmm.
Well, you and I haven't done those, so we can't really speak to it. But we have lots of friends that do them. I know a lot of people that do them and love it. It's a definitely individual need kind of a thing. You have to weigh the pros and cons. I would suggest talking to some people that have used it, like she's trying to do now, but it's just neither one of us.
Yeah. One thing I could say about K-12, K-12 is a public school at home curriculum. So I just want to be sure that you know that. It's not a, quote, homeschool curriculum. That being said, there are a lot of moms that love it. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying be sure you know that K-12 is a public school at home curriculum. So, but you know what? Ask that in the community. I think you're in our community, Sherry. If you're not, you need to go join us. It's on Facebook. Just search for Hip Homeschool Moms Community and join us and ask that in there because I do know there's some K-12 moms in there that have actually used that curriculum. So, sorry we
And
couldn't
there
help more
are
on that one.
others besides K-12 that you look into. So,
Yeah,
yeah, do
lots
your
more.
research and definitely ask in there.
Okay, so Mickey has the question that is all for you. Mickey says, how do you make the most of what space you have to organize your homeschool room? So,
Oh,
yeah, that's yours.
that's fine. Because I have a very small space and lots of kids, and we don't have a homeschool room. We just have a dining. Mickey, the one that showed the picture
Yes,
of
she
her
is.
living room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at that, and I didn't see the whole rest of the room, but if she would, like for me, we have sort of a designated space, and I will put a picture of it up on the up in the group. But
Mm-hmm.
we have a designated space. I have a whiteboard that's just hanging on the wall. I noticed she had one on a stand. It's not pretty, so we put a little decorative, wood frame around it, and we put some shelves under it, and I've got baskets that are labeled with each thing, and it's actually a fairly attractive space, even though it's obviously school stuff. And then the other thing I said last week is anything we're not using, I do not keep in there. If we're not using it currently and regularly, I keep it in storage. So that also eliminates some of the messy problems. But yeah, we just have cute, I'm going to put a picture up in the group, but we have cute shelves and baskets, and it's important to me that my space be really pretty, and this is my dining room. So yeah, I would say if she could find a spot in the room that's just one section of wall that she could keep everything, go ahead and hang up her board and maybe put some little shelves, and that was just for that stuff.
Yeah. And Lisa actually on her blog, The Pennington Point, she has actually done a whole home tour. And you said you're doing another one tomorrow. So if
Tomorrow,
y'all
big home tour tomorrow, and I'll show that again.
Yeah, so y'all be sure to go visit the Pennington Point, and you'll be able to see the tour. And she said that that space. She doesn't really talk about homeschooling on this one, but she said that space is going to be shown, so you
Yeah.
can go see how she has it organized. And Lisa, how many kids do you have you're homeschooling?
I'm homeschooling 6 this year, but I have 9 total that all live at home. So,
So yes, so she
and you
has
know what? The other
lots.
thing is, yes, I do. We have lockers. I searched for probably 5 years flea markets for these lockers, and I finally found a set of vintage like school lockers, and they're actually not super hard to find. But if you can't find that, even some sort of cabinets, and so they're just cute in the room. But we actually use them. Each child has a locker, and they keep all of their stuff, and they're only allowed to keep school things, not like art projects and books they're reading, but school stuff go in these lockers. So they each have a designated spot to just shove their things, like we did when we were in school.
Isn't
So
that
that
great?
helps a lot because you can shut the door on it, and it doesn't matter really to me how messy it is. If there's nothing spilling out of it, I don't even make them clean it up.
Isn't that great? So yeah, so you'll be able to see all that. Go to her blog tomorrow. But I know she's an organization freak. I mean, just look behind her at her cabinets. You see that.
This
So
is my Etsy shop that I sit in every week. So I
yeah,
sort
so
of work.
she's very organized. So you're going to see how an organization queen works. Mickey, I'm very fortunate. I have a homeschool room. We are right now trying to downsize. We're trying to sell our home. So I am probably going to be asking that very question in, however long it takes me to sell this house. But at this point, I haven't had that experience. And I actually look around my room and look at all the books I have, and I'm asking the same question. What am I going to do with all this stuff? So I don't know the answer. So we'll fight this battle together, okay? So anyway,
You're gonna have to downsize your stuff. I hate to
I
break it to
know.
you. We're gonna have a therapy
I know.
with
I'm gonna
you.
have to. I'm gonna
Therapy
be
with
in therapy.
Trish, and you're gonna have to be. You need to get a friend to come over and be brutal about what you need to keep and get rid of, and you need to be willing to let some of it go.
I have one that will be brutal with me. She's doing the same thing, so she's
Okay,
downsizing.
good, good.
Speaking of
It's
that, there
just
are used curriculum sales going on. Hip Homeschool Moms is one of, what, 5 or 6 different blogs this week that are
yeah.
selling used curriculum. So if you go to hiphomeschoolmoms.com and go to that post, you'll see, if you're looking for curriculum, I personally have some listed because I'm trying to downsize, remember? But anyway, there's a bunch of folks out there that are selling curriculum. I mean, the Happy Housewife, Homeschool Creations, there's just 6 different blogs, and there's tons of people that are linking to it. So yeah, you can go find some great curriculum. Okay, so Angela asked, how do you set yourself up for success when homeschooling a child with some level of autism? I don't have a child with autism, but Wendy, one of our owners here at Hip Homeschool Moms, does, and of course she's in on the call. But Angela, I'll probably get her to comment. I think she's already started commenting on that post because I don't really think. Lisa, do you feel comfortable answering that?
No, I have learning disabilities, but I don't have autism.
Yeah, and I think I think we would be remiss if we tried to answer that
Yeah,
when we haven't walked that path. So I think that would
yeah.
be dangerous for us. So I think we're just going to let.
We should get Wendy or one of the other moms on the team to be on to be on this with us one week when we could talk about that more.
I tried to get Wendy on today, but she already had a previous
Yeah.
engagement.
Bad
So
day.
yeah, and now I actually was trying to do it because of Angela's question. So I'm sorry, Angela, but she's
Oh,
going to have to answer that one. So I'm going to move on. Um, Next one is Taryn
but we love
asked.
you, Angela.
Yeah, we do, and I'm sorry. I wish I could be more help, but I just don't feel good. I don't feel comfortable answering that. Taryn asked, how do you balance everything or fit in life with homeschooling? We have lots of responsibilities on our farm, so this is a tough one for me. Uh, I don't. So I'm not the right person to ask. I feel like I'm in a major state of juggling everything at all times. Somebody said that on my wall the other day, and I said, I feel like I'm coming apart at the seams. What are you talking about? So I'm not the right person. Actually, Lisa seems to have, I mean, you just heard she was on the road. She's just got back, so she's got more going on than I do right now with that many kids too.
Well, here's why you're the right person, because these other women need to hear that you don't have it all together. That we don't have it all together. That it's hard for all of us.
Mm,
So it looks so easy on Facebook. Everybody makes it look like happy, happy, and you go on
mm,
Instagram and their little children are playing their sweet little black and white games. But
yeah.
really, our lives are messy. Everybody's lives are messy. So, but yeah, as far as, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and I'm certainly all there. I actually have a
Yeah.
farm too, and we actually just sold our dairy cows about 4 or 5 months ago for this very reason. We couldn't get it all done. So
Hmm.
yeah, we really, really are there. We're living that. We're walking that, Taryn. And I think it's prioritizing. I think you have to set some priorities, and I think you have to have your children involved. I know that's something that Lisa is diligent about, getting her children involved in all aspects of the home and of their business and everything else. And
Yeah. And we have chickens and horses. We just sold our cow, and up until about a year ago, we had dairy goats. And so, yeah, I
yeah,
know what it's like to have to take care of all that. I would say for me, a real solution was setting a time for school to start. And you know what? That's just what time school started. And it didn't matter what else. I mean, obviously, animals, you have to feed them or whatever, but you have to figure out, just like we were talking about earlier about the daughter not paying attention and wandering off, you have to figure out what works. And so if this didn't work today, then what will work? And keep just trying. But I would say that we have a set school time, and we start school at that time. If I'm not done getting dinner in the crock pot or whatever's not clean or that's just that school time. And
that's
so
great.
if you do that, I think you would, and you really make that serious, I think you would tend to be more diligent about getting those animal chores done early. And the other thing is, this isn't just true for her on a farm, but other moms that do all kinds of activities like music lessons and sports and speech and debate and all these things. If your life isn't working with all this stuff in it, some of it has to go. Downsize, just like you're going to have to do with your school stuff. It doesn't always work, and sometimes you have to get someone to help you or drop some of those activities.
Lisa, you gave a great at that same conference that I was telling y'all about earlier. Lisa was talking about how she, you know how we have a junk drawer, and she actually used that as her analogy. You have a
Yeah.
junk drawer, a drunk drawer. I might have that too before this is a junk drawer. I'll get that out here in a
All
second.
right, we're gonna have to have therapy
She's the
again.
one that said it, not me.
Intervention.
But you think about your junk drawer, and you have to go through that junk drawer every once in a while because it, everything starts spilling out, and you have to assign it a keep, giveaway, or a throwaway. And so
Right.
Lisa gave that analogy for her life and her
For
responsibilities.
time, how you use your
Yeah.
time.
hmm
Hmm.
So that might
Exactly.
be a great analogy for you, Taryn, at this point in time, is pull out your junk drawer and start, thinking about how you would organize that junk drawer and do that with your time and your life and your responsibilities and knowing that that drawer only holds so much. So,
Exactly.
we what?
Exactly.
Yeah, we all only get 24 hours a day. I love that thought. None of us get extra time. Now, what we choose to do with those 24 hours is a completely different story. And I may be really good at organizing and multitasking, some things, but it seems like my time is the worst. I'm not good at that. So that's something that I think we all struggle with. And I think that
Oh yeah.
yeah, as I think it gets better. I do because I've been homeschooling now for 6 years, and I think the longer you do it, the better you get at it. Or maybe it's the kids
Well,
just get better at.
kids get older. Exactly.
so so it looks like we're getting better at it. I'm not sure which one
Right.
actually is, but anyway, it does seem to get better as they get older. And I also think that my kids are taking on more responsibility, like you were talking about, and so that helps too. So it
Yeah.
does get better, Taryn. I don't know if that answered your question, but it does get better, especially as the kids get older and you can start delegating more to them. And yeah, it will get better. Poor thing. Mm. The farm life is a tough life. That is a really tough life. I didn't know you had dairy goats.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We still have several animals.
Really? Did you do the goat milk soap and all that?
We didn't make soap, but we made cheese and yogurt and all kinds of
Really?
yum. Hmm.
We did that too. When we
Ah.
got yeah, see, we have had jerseys. We had I guess 3 or 4 mama jerseys, and whew, that's a lot of work, y'all. We're not going
A lot
there.
of work. Which is why we stopped doing it. We stepped back and evaluated and said, you know what, this is valuable and eating like this is valuable, and we loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But we could not do that and do other things as well as we wanted. So something had to go.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we did. That's exactly
And
what
it
we
was
did.
hard. It was very
Oh,
hard. Sad.
I cried when we sold our cows. And if you've seen the price of beef, I'm thinking, why didn't we raise beef cows instead of dairy cows? But anyway, okay, so
I did
Holly,
not cry when we sold our goats.
I did. We actually got,
One of
they
them
become
came
like
into my
family
garden.
pets. They're pets.
No.
Ours were. Okay. So Holly says, how do you make time to listen? She said she has 7 children. So I'm not good at listening to 3. How do you listen to that? I think you do date night. That's something we used to do that we haven't done in a while, where you have special time with each one. With 7, I don't know, Lisa, is that feasible? Is it feasible when you have that many children?
Of course.
Yeah?
What's not feasible is for it to meet your expectations. So we have 9 kids, and definitely they need listening to. And so what they don't need is constantly being listened to. So if every day I get a chance to sit down and I'm not a super touchy person, so I make myself like reach out and touch each child and ask them how they're doing, or if they seem interested in something, go over and touch them on the shoulder and listen. They don't need like, unless they're teenagers, they don't need like being listened to constantly. It's really okay to say, okay, I can't talk to you right now. You remember that, and in a little while, we'll come back to it, because they don't need to be demanding you to listen to them.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. With mine, and I'm not sure if she meant it in a homeschool environment or not. I assume it was asked in a homeschool environment, so I assume she was talking about
Oh,
homeschooling. So, but for me, um, yeah, we do different things. I have my oldest son teaching a couple of our classes. He teaches our history class, and so it's actually even a little more hard when somebody else is doing it. You have to make it an extra point to go in there and listen to the reports and things like that. So, yeah. But you do. I know that you have to. I mean that. So that's another point when we start thinking about why do we homeschool? I mean, that's one of the reasons we homeschool, right? Is so we can spend that time with our children. So I think you just have to figure out how maybe using the older children to help navigate those waters, where like keeping them busy, and especially if you have little children,
Yeah,
that will
that's
help.
good. That's very good. I was not interpreting it as a school question at all. So I think she got it from both ends.
Yeah, yeah. So I just
That's
want to make
good.
sure. I wasn't
Yeah.
sure, so that's why I said, I want to ask, talk
Well,
about it a little bit different.
as a large family mom, I interpreted it instantly as just generally listening because that is a struggle.
But you know what? And that's probably how she meant it because she's a large family too. And me not being a large family, of course, I'm thinking of it from a homeschool perspective. But really, homeschool is life. So you're probably right. You probably have it
Oh,
right.
no, no, yours was really good. That's totally good. But I
Um,
also
and-
want her to feel permission and not feel guilty when she tells him she can't listen to him right now.
yeah,
It's really
yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. Okay, so we have another Lisa fan. Her name's Lana Wilson. Do you know
Hello,
Lana?
hi, Lana. Love Lana. Love me
She's
some Lana.
She says, I love Lisa P. So y'all have a mutual fan club going. Okay, so
Yeah.
she said, we're moving and really
Yay.
homeschool year round. She said, do you have a suggestion for balancing time during this crazy move or really any tips? I love Lisa P. Smiley face. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's exciting. They're moving to another city, so it's not even just like a house, house to house. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we're so busy right now. We have so much going on that I just this morning told the kids we're going to take about 2 weeks off. Let them enjoy life right now. They can do math only. We always kind of do math, or we get sort of behind because we kind of stay behind. So um, besides math, they're not going to do. I said, y'all come up with some ideas of little projects you can work on by yourself, and then I will try to supply whatever you need and look at it whenever you want me to look at it. But otherwise, you're going to be on your own. It has to be semi-educational. So that's one thing we're going to be doing this month, and Lana might enjoy that. I think learning to pack and move and manage time and whatever is good. I mean, just
Yeah.
give some of the kids the job. She has some kids that are old enough to be responsible for the family meals while they're moving, and they can learn a lot through that. So I would take some of these, some of the needs that your family's going to have to fill, and have your kids fill them as school.
That's great because I mean, really, that's practical life. That's life learning, and
Yeah.
it's so important. When we went to the beach a couple of years ago. My dad was diagnosed with cancer, and we went to the beach and spent a month with him at the beach. And we decided to just do one thing, which you're going to laugh. It was swimming creatures at the beach, of
Yay!
course, right?
It sounds
So
like a unit study to me,
it
Trish.
was. Well, it was the Apologia curriculum, but yeah, we took that and that's all we did the whole time. We did the saltwater aspect of swimming creatures. So I don't know if there's just one thing. We keep math going all year round too because that's one thing we always seem to be behind in as well. And so math continues. But other than that, maybe find something that maybe even a unit study of the new city you're going to or something. I don't know,
Oh,
but
that's a good idea. Another thing that I do when I know there's a big project coming, like for us, it might be a big remodel or something that's going to be kind of consuming, is I will set times for that. Like I will say, okay, you guys are going to have to help us with this project from 9 to 11, but after 11, and then we eat lunch, you guys can have free time to yourselves. And so I'm not, you find yourself tempted to constantly like, no, help, help, you need to help, you need to help. Well, what if they just throw themselves into it really well for a couple hours, and then they get to go be kids? So, yeah, I would avoid constantly using them to work, but definitely do that every day. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
yeah. That's good. I love that. I love that. We're actually doing the same thing. I'm painting the grout on my kitchen floor. We have a brick floor Don't ever get a brick floor, y'all. Ever, ever, ever. But we have a
Good tip.
brick floor, and we have to use this acid wash to get all the stuff off of it because
Mm,
it's porous. Think about a brick,
yeah.
and so we're doing an acid wash, and then we're painting the grout. And so my oldest son is helping me do that. So yeah, and ours is an hour a day. Ours is, this is a huge
That's awesome.
project, so he works on it an hour a day, and I work on it an hour a day, and that way we're knocking it out little by little. But that's a great idea. Good luck with your move. I know I can't even imagine moving out of city. We're trying to move in the same area, general area. So I can't imagine packing up and moving
Yeah.
to a new city. When we sold our house years ago, we had the luxury. It was my husband and I getting married, and I owned a home, and he owned a home, and we got to sell one house, and then we bought the new house, and the house that we had been living in, we got to
Oh,
move completely out and move into our new house before we even tried to sell that one. So I don't even know how to sell a house and live in it at the same time. So
you're gonna find
y'all really,
out.
yeah, y'all pray for me because it's going to be a real challenge. I can't even imagine keeping my house show ready for that long. Anyway, okay, next. Oh boy. Okay, this is a really good question. This is Susan, and I know she's watching. Hey, Susan. She asked, are most homeschool families able to support their families on just a single income, or do many people have work from home jobs that create a little income? And I think it varies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know the statistics on that.
I don't know. That would be a great study, though. I wonder if we can get some of our older kids to do a study on that. But
I will say I don't personally know many that aren't on single income. I think
yeah,
most that I know are single income.
yeah,
And
and
they can do it. You can do it.
that's where we are. That's actually what I'm doing right now. That's why we are downsizing, is because we are living on a single income. I quit work. I had a business that it's not closed, but it's essentially closed because I'm not working. And so we're doing the same thing. We're having to really dramatically adjust to one income, and it's a lifestyle change. It's not
Yeah.
just a change in our address. It's a lifestyle change. So yeah, but some of the things I know a lot of moms right now are doing things like essential oils. Lisa actually is an essential oils
I am. I love them.
advocate. So,
Hmm.
that's a business that you could do after hours, after working. And there's a couple of, I mean, Lisa has several businesses. She actually, you can see,
We have an Etsy shop.
yeah, to her right, that's a big old bolt of burlap. So she does
Yeah.
burlap runners and things like that. So I don't know. Do you have a talent that you might be able to turn into a business and put your children in the business with you? That's something that Lisa does, that we believe in. We do. My son has a chicken business called Deluxe Clucks, where he sells eggs. I mean, things
Well,
like
and
that.
social media. I know that you can trade for maybe your piano lessons or something. Maybe do a little social media for somebody. So trading is another really good thing. What can you
Yeah,
trade?
bartering. So yeah,
Yeah.
so I would say look at yourself, look at your talents, look at the talents of your family, and see if there's something that you can make happen. I know with me, I'm gonna say that M word, so just hide your
Okay.
ears. I was involved in Montessori homeschooling for a really, really long time, and we made a lot of works. And so on my blog, I have a little store. I mean, I sell stuff that I don't laminate it or any of that, do any of the cutting. I just sell them the file for 99 cents. So I don't know if you're creating unit studies and things like that. That might be something you could do too. So if you can incorporate it into your homeschool. So I would say get creative. Think about what you're spending your time doing, what you can do, and see if you can't make some kind of side business out of it. But
Well,
yes,
and
I
then the
do.
flip side of that is look at what you're spending your money on and what you don't need to be spending your
Yeah.
money on. There's a lot of curriculum that your friends are doing that if you just can't afford it, you can't afford it. Don't go out to eat so much, or lessons. You're not damaging your child if you can't afford to get them some sort of special lessons. God gave you what you need, and you need to just use it to the best of your ability. And so I would say also look at how you're spending your
Mm,
money.
I agree. I agree. Boy, I'm doing that now myself. So Susan, I hope we answered your question. I know you're in our group, so if we didn't,
Hi,
ask it,
Susan.
take it to another level over there, and we'll answer it again. That actually is a great segue into the next question, and it's from it says Nick's, but I can't remember Nick's name. I think it's like Nick's dad or Nick's mom or something like that. So she said, how does a successful homeschool parent stay organized and not find themselves buying more than they need? I think I,
Ta-da!
I think I focused on our goals, but any extra tips would be great. Yeah, don't go to curriculum fairs with no idea of what you want. I can tell you that. that's that's number one there. And it's really easy to get caught up in the bright, shiny object. Really, really easy to get caught up in
Yeah.
the bright, shiny object. And I actually have that syndrome. The bright, I see something coming down the pike, and it wasn't on my plan, and all of a sudden, somehow or another, it managed to get on my plan. My poor children, feel sorry for them. So I think you need to spend, for me, now this may not work for you. For me, I think you really need to spend some very diligent time reading, researching, talking to people, figuring out what they used, why they liked what they used, and research it and then stick to it. Buy it. Don't get caught up in the bright shiny object. Use the library, which is something I don't use. We have a little teeny library here. I live in a city that one doesn't have a library and one has a library that's tiny, and so we don't use the library like we should. But that's something when we move we will be. Um, that might help you not purchase so much. And don't they have like a on with the library system, don't they have like a lending thing where you can get stuff from other libraries that aren't in your vicinity, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes,
So,
we don't have a good library either, so.
yeah, but if you are near one, that would be something that I would highly recommend is looking into that and looking at your local co-op. There's a lot of moms at your local co-op or homeschooling group that will loan you stuff that will, hey, I'm reading, I know with like Sunlight, they have a ton of books and resources that go with that.
Yeah.
Maybe have two or three of you go in and buy it together and start at different times so you can share the books, if that helps. But yeah, I don't know how you stop when you see all this fun stuff come through, especially
Well,
with Montessori.
we have a budget, so I figure out what I need for about a year, and then we divide that by 12, and then I get that amount of money every month that just gets saved up for convention time. So
Mhm.
then I also spend time, so it's not like, oh my gosh, where's this money going to come from? And then
That helps.
it's our cash. And then I sit down about each child and with each child and make a list of what we need and who I know is going to be at the convention and what I'm going to get. So I get to the convention with a plan. And then I used to think, okay, but I'm going to let myself buy one thing, one bright, shiny object and
Mhm.
have sort of a maximum amount I would spend on that. But I tell you what, it's very rare that I actually brought that stuff home and used it. I mean, I just brought it home and looked at it, and it sat there and it sat there until it got stuck out in the storage building because I do that about once a month, clean out the school area and put stuff out that we're not using. And I probably have a ton of money invested in things we never used. And so I really don't take it from just this older homeschool
Mhm.
mama. I really don't do that anymore. If you see the bright and shiny, put it on your list of things you want. And if there have been several times over a month that you would have used that and think, oh, I wish we had that. I think we'd have used that today, then go buy it. But if you never thought about it again or you're trying to figure out how to squeeze in what you already have, be thankful you didn't spend your money on that.
That's a great suggestion. Yeah, put it on a list and a wish list and see if you
Yeah.
can, if that wish list, if it keeps coming up multiple times on the wish list or, like you said, that you thought about it. That's a great suggestion. That's a good idea. I need to do that about a whole bunch of things. But yeah, especially in homeschool. We are doing the same thing, and I can't even imagine. We have a ton. We had looked at a couple of curriculums that have all these extra books that go along with it, and I think that when you have those kinds of curriculum, you do tend to purchase more books, and especially with us when we were doing the Montessori approach, which I think is a lot like your unit study approach. We would have books, and there would be spark your imagination stuff.
Right.
And so we had a ton of books. I actually am a, is there a word called a biblioholic? Because if there is one, I'm it.
Yeah,
So
we're crazy about books here too. We have tons of books.
yeah, that's probably my worst. If there's a bright shiny object, it's a book. That's it. That's all I want, a book. So, but yeah, and I think that when you have a limited amount of space, I think that actually helps. Like Lisa was talking about, when you know there's no room for that, I think that helps too. So,
Hmm.
good luck with that. We understand it's a struggle, and I think, like Lisa said, she didn't say it this way, but I think the longer you homeschool, I think the more used to seeing this stuff, and
Yeah.
you actually get more. Maybe you get blinders on, so to speak, like a horse. Where you're walking through the convention, and you're on a mission. This is my mission. I'm after this curriculum, and you don't even stop and look at those other things, and which might help. So I don't think we can buy blinders for people, though. You can make that in your Etsy store. Burlap blinders coming from
Right.
Lisa Pennington. She'll even monogram it. She's got monogram machines
That's
here.
right. That's
Oh,
funny.
okay. Okay, let's keep going. We're doing good. We're down to 2 questions.
Woo.
So I know we've gone through a lot today. Candida asked, and I know I butcher that every single time. So let me go ahead and say I'm sorry. Candida, I know you tell me how to say it, so I apologize. How far into homeschooling did it take for you to feel the "I've got this" feeling?
I'll let you know, Candida, when that happens.
How long have you been homeschooling, Lisa?
Yeah, over 20 years.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know. I do think you get, like we've talked about, I do think you get more comfortable, huh? I mean, you do
Oh,
get, you get
yeah.
into a
Oh, yeah.
routine,
Yeah.
and you feel good about the routine, even if you feel like you have to adjust it, every year, and for
I think
each
it's an
child.
attitude because honestly, I've kind of always felt like that.
Really?
Got this. Yeah, even when they were little. And it wasn't like I felt like I was doing an excellent job or that I couldn't do better, but I've never felt like, yeah, that this was a problem or that I couldn't do it. So I
I
think it's an
think so.
attitude.
I think something that helps is if you take the options off the table. For me, there
Yeah,
was no other option. I had
exactly.
I had to succeed because our schools out here are atrocious, and the one little private school closed, and then we couldn't afford to go to the other private schools. So I think when you take all the options off the table, and this is a do or die kind of situation, I think you make it happen. So if you feel if you have that in the back of your recesses of your mind, I don't know if that will help or not because we're all so different, but that might be something to think about is, would you really seriously, honestly send them back to public school? And if you really wouldn't, then just, take that option off the table. And then I think it helps you um, feel like you're gonna get it done. When I first started, my oldest son reminded me that I did not have a teaching degree or certificate, and he really questioned whether I was going to be able to do this or not. so,
Wow. Well, see, and that's the difference because we always planned to homeschool from birth, and I never had it in my mind that I would do anything else, and so we just kind of went right into it. And so there was no like,
I think Lisa froze. I don't know if y'all can hear her or not, but I can't. Um, and I hope I'm not talking on top of her. Lisa, are you there? If you can hear me, I can't hear you, and I think you froze. So I'm going to keep going. So one thing that I was going to say also about that feeling is, for me, when I started homeschooling, like I said, my oldest son, who was going into fourth grade, asked me or reminded me that I didn't have a teaching degree and questioned if I was going to be able to actually pull this off. Ah, she rejoined. There's Lisa. Hey, you
oh,
locked up.
sorry, it kicked me out.
Yeah, you locked up. So yeah, okay. So I'm not sure where you stopped, but can you start that thought
I was just
over?
saying there was no, for you, you had this, your kids were in school and then they came out. and I never had that. So I think, it's to answer her question, it depends on how long it takes you to feel like you've got it. I think it depends on where you were when you started.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. And from what I'm seeing and from what I'm talking to, especially in the group and out there on our Facebook page, I think a lot of moms, it varies, number one. So let me just say that it varies. Some moms get it, and like Lisa, she just never felt anything else. But some moms, it takes 2 or 3 years to really feel like they have their sea legs under them. So I would say it really varies, and all the variables. I mean, for instance, I don't have any terribly special needs children, so that might impact my ability to feel how successful I'm being. So I think everybody has a
Yeah, I would
different
say
time frame.
examine your goals. What is it that you're looking for that to make you feel like you're doing well or that it's working? And then see, what do you need to get there? Instead of just kind of like throwing a bunch of curriculum out there and trying to get all this curriculum done, break it down into, I think I would feel like it had been a success at the end of the day if this little thing had happened or if we had done that. And so, like, be real specific about what it is that you're looking for to satisfy you and that would satisfy your kids if this had been a well used day.
That's a good suggestion too. So, but you'll get there. If you're not there yet, you will get there.
Yeah.
It
Take
just
a
keep,
breath.
yeah, just keep going. Pat Mills has a question for you, Lisa. She
Hi,
says,
Pat.
have, she said, have you thought about how you're going to feel at the end of your homeschooling journey? She said, I'm finishing out their 20th year, and I only have 2 years left. She said, I'm feeling
Yeah,
sad for it to come to an end. So
I
she's
don't.
mourning. So
I
what do
don't
you think?
foresee. I don't foresee being sad about it. To tell you the truth. But
Um,
Pat, I have a 6-year. I'm a kindergartner, so I have a long way to go. I mean, I'm literally going to be like 68 when that happens, and so I think I'm just going to be so happy that it's over.
oh, that's too
I
funny.
feel for you. It's sad to think about, but no, I haven't thought much about it.
I have. I can tell you.
Well, you're
I
closer than
actually,
me.
yeah. I actually came back from that same conference, the 2-to-1 conference, thinking about. Heidi and I actually had a conversation about. She was reading a book called 18 Summers, and that concept and that thought really resonated with me, and how little time we really have, even though when in the grand
Yeah,
scheme of things we have 18 years, not just 18 summers, and we have lots more than for us. We're figuring out that that number is bogus. It doesn't have to be 18 years, but
yeah.
in general, that's a time frame that you can sort of get your head around. And so for me, I've started thinking about, and that's one of the reasons why I adjusted our curriculum so dramatically this year. Is did I want their last 4 or 5 or 6 years here with me only about school? I don't. I wanted there to be more memories than just academic memories, and so we are really adjusting to that. So Pat, I can understand where you're feeling and what you're feeling and where you're headed, because I'm sort of there, but at a different level. I still have, my youngest is 10, so I still actually have quite a few years left too. But I get it. I get that thought. And you know what? The interesting thing is I have mourned every single stage that my kids have left. And then once I embraced the new stage, it was fantastic too. So, it will just be a new stage. Just look at it that way. You're going into a new adventure, and you'll be finding. We joke about when before we had kids, what did we do with all the time that we had? We must have squandered it, because I have no idea what I did with all that time. So you'll get to tell us, what do you do with all that time?
Yeah, we want
What
to
you,
report.
yeah, you have to write an essay for us,
I
okay?
expect to have quite a few grandchildren by the time I'm finished homeschooling, and so for me, I guess I would expect to be helping with that. I don't foresee there being an end.
Yeah, you're just going to transition right into the next
That's
generation,
my
right?
plan. That's my plan. God might have different plans, but
There
that's
you
my
go.
plan.
Well, we are down to our very last question, and it is, unless somebody else pops in, Kim asked, what subjects do I teach a first grader? And you're about there. You're about to start teaching first grade again.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
what do you teach?
Math. The only subject that is for me just fluid through the entire school course of school is math. Everything else comes and goes. Kind of history, but math for sure would always be on my list. And then after that, um, I don't know, to be honest, you're right. I mean, it really does change as you get back to the previous question, as you get more advanced with it, because I'm like, I don't know, whatever book I pick up, that's what we'll talk about. I don't really have any big plans, but I would say um, practice writing, handwriting is really good, and obviously phonics and reading is really good. And for me, that would be kind of the main. You're going to get things like history and science and art out of your reading, and so yeah, I would say those would be the main things I would make sure. And then if there's some little thing he's interested in, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I'm essentially the same thing. We teach math is we start there, and I'm a big believer that reading is sort of the key to everything. So I really spend a lot of we did phonics and focused on
Yeah,
the
we did too.
sound.
Hmm.
So I think that probably is those two are probably the most important to set the foundation because really that's what you're doing. You're laying a foundation, and each year you're going to build on that foundation. But the foundation has to be really good and strong, and so we focus on mastery. We don't move to the next topic or the next subject until they have completely understand that topic and move forward. Um, and we don't do a whole lot of busy work. Once they've mastered it, we move on. There's no point in hanging out and thinking about or playing with this subject when they've already mastered it. And I think that's how you get bored kids. I think that's what happens in school sometimes is, they have, 75 problems they have to complete but they get it. And so I don't do that. So that would be the other thing I would suggest. But
That's
phonics and
good.
math.
I don't do that
Phonics
either.
and math.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're done with our questions. Let me go see if we have any over in the two groups because they have been asking over there. Have you been over there on Facebook?
No, not this morning.
Okay,
No.
I'm going to go look real quick and make sure. Um, Based on some of the questions that we've had, do you feel like there's a theme that we need to circle back around and talk about?
I think people are just, yeah, wondering about how to. I think I felt for, I can't remember the names of who asked which question, but asking about when you feel like you've kind of got your groove and you feel like you got this. And I think probably all the people out there watching are just saying, yes, we need to know too, because it is, the way it's a hard thing to figure out how to measure. I mean, if you're not having them tested, which we don't, then you think, how am I going to measure whether or not this is succeeding? And so I would say you really need to figure out specific goals and whether or not that's working for you. For us, we're looser with those goals, but those are our goals. So whatever your goals are, then like you said, just kind of try keeping up with it, but don't let yourself get overwhelmed or feeling guilty or I'm not doing well with this. Don't measure yourself against what other people are doing. That's a
Yeah, don't
big
compare.
killer of homeschool. By the way, the homeschool moms community is awesome, but there are lots of ideas in there, and there's lots, pull what's good for you and release what's not good. So everything doesn't work for everyone, and so
Amen.
just gain the things that give you strength, and you read a comment and you think, oh, that's a great idea, I'm going to try that. Try it. But you read something else and you feel a heaviness from it. Oh, don't do it. Like it's unimportant. That's what I
Hmm.
would say.
And I think we need to all remember why we're homeschooling and what the purpose is. I know one of the comments that I keep seeing in the group here lately is they are. they are comparing themselves, not on purpose, not intentionally. They don't even realize they're doing it. Is, they're seeing the comments like you're saying, and it's not just our group, it's any group. If you spend
Right.
any time with any homeschoolers and you hear what they're doing, you're immediately in your head going, well, I'm not doing that, or I'm not doing that, or I'm not doing that, or ooh, that sounds like fun, and ooh, we need to incorporate that, and that bright shiny object again. And you really do have to remember that there are so many different variables. And I used to talk about how the front door of your house is so different than your next door neighbor's front door and your next door neighbor's front door on the other side. That's what every homeschool looks like inside. Every homeschool is so different. None of us do it exactly the same, and none
Correct.
of us have it completely figured out. And the minute we think we do, it changes on us. So,
And I was reading one gal this morning talked about a mother or mother-in-law, I think mother-in-law,
oh my
coming
gosh.
in and just really testing them and testing her kids to try to, find little gaps in there. And she just really went about it with a passion. And I think those kinds of people can really suck you down. And I want to say you need to know what your goals are. And if your goal is not for your daughter to know every single thing that, in math, then it's fine. And just because someone else disapproves of it does not mean there's anything wrong or bad or lacking in what you're doing. That that poor girl was so worried about her daughter. I've been following it like, did she go pick her up yet? Because I thought she was worried about her daughter, and she said, should I don't know whether I should call my daughter and
Hmm.
tell her not to feel pressure
That pressure,
to.
yeah.
And I can tell you, if it had been me, and this is just me, I would have called the mother-in-law and said, do not pressure her about it. Yeah, it would have caused chaos and family chaos, and I'm
Mm.
sad to say that did happen several times, but that shouldn't be put on the child. I just felt for her, totally felt for her. I mean, I
I
didn't
know.
have that intense of a situation, but we've all had people come in and question what you're doing. And
Oh
so
yeah.
I want that girl to have confidence in her schooling
Mhm.
and not feel any kind of lack because she got, you know, looked under a microscope. Because anybody can be looked under a microscope, public
Yep.
school, homeschool, private school, and there will be something that is lacking. Everyone.
There was a quote. We did a Facebook party a couple of months ago with Classical Academic Press, and Rebecca there, who I just absolutely love, was sharing some research that was in one of their books, and I think it's valuable for all of us to remember. It was that, and you will know this to be true yourself when I say this.
Okay.
How much of what you learned in school do you remember?
Oh, yeah.
Her point was that you lose about 70 to 75% of everything you learned. And so is the point to push more data and information into those brains, or is the
Right.
point to mold those brains into being good human beings, godly children that are following the path that God has laid out for their lives, that are good family members and good, and think about those things, and stop worrying about how much you can cram into those brains, because when
That's
she said
awesome.
that, it's so I was like, oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
so true. How much have we
Beautiful.
forgotten?
Yeah.
And so really the point is, teach them how to research and how to find the answers. Give them the tools, teach a man to fish and they're going to fish. Give him a fish and he's going to eat a meal. So I
Right.
think that applies here too, to really, really focus on the bigger picture. I think we all can get so drawn into the minutia and the bright, shiny objects of curriculum that we forget that fact.
That's a
Don't you?
great. Oh, that was a great way to end. That was beautiful.
Mm,
Thank you.
yeah. No, that was, it was just something that when you said something a few minutes ago, it reminded me of what Rebecca said, and I was like, we do need to remember that. We need to remember that, we do
Totally.
forget so much.
Yeah.
And so that will
Yeah.
release you a little bit from that burden of whether it's a mother-in-law or whoever it might be, a sister or whoever, that feels that they need to question you about your ability to homeschool and how successful you are. You need to challenge them with that. How much do you remember from high school? Do you remember more than 50%? Because I can guarantee you they don't. So that should release all of us and make us feel a little bit better about our homeschool and our day. So, well,
Great. That was great.
that's the end of the questions, Lisa. Can you believe it? We got through them all.
Awesome.
Yay! So it's been a great call, y'all. We still have a ton of viewers out there. So if we did not get to your question, if you posted somewhere and I did not see it, please forgive me. We will get to it next week. We will be sure that we start with it. So I apologize. But if not, then y'all have a fantastic week. Go out there and knock them dead, and let's see what we can accomplish this week. But thanks for getting involved. Two things to end with. If you're not in our group, come join our group. You can search for it, Hip Homeschool Moms Community on Facebook.
Awesome.
Number two, you can go look for, if you're looking for a homeschool curriculum, there's some used homeschool curriculum going up for sale right now. And number three, don't forget to go watch Lisa's blog, watch her blog tomorrow, the Pennington Point, for her reveal on her house and on her homeschooling area, so you can see.
Thanks.
So
Okay.
don't forget to post that picture too, okay?
I will. I'll go do it in a minute. We'll see you guys next week.
Okay, y'all have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.